The UConn Huskies are 10-3. They're undefeated on the mainland when they're not at the Maui Invitational. Jeff, heading into 2025, what would be your resolution for UConn?
My resolution will be for Dan Hurley. Stop taking shots at podcasts. Come on, man. Andrea Hurley was a podcast star at one time on the Field of 68 Network. Baller's wife, Andrea Hurley, Nicole Kellogg, the wife of Derek Kellogg, they did a podcast on our show, and he's taking shots at podcasts. I don't know who he was talking to, Fana. Was he talking to Rob Doster? Was he talking to Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish over at CBS? He might have been talking to me. I don't know. Listen, I love Dan Hurley's enthusiasm. I love his personality. I do think he's great for the game. I do. I've said that over and over and over. And you're not going to find a better basketball coach in the country right now than Dan Hurley. However, I still will say this. I still think he needs to tone it back down with the refs, because even he admitted it 2 years ago. When he did that, he was a better basketball coach. And when he did that, they started to go on that run that culminated with their first national title. So Dan Hurley, I love the emotion. I love the intensity, but harness it with the referees.
John?
I'm a give my resolution, but I'm gonna echo the podcast thing. If you're going, you're so brash and you like this, as we call it, stand on business. Just say who you're talking about. Just say it. Don't try to send riddles. You know what I'm saying? And if it is Field of 68, Jeff, all pub is good pub. You know what I'm saying? So, my resolution for UConn is to make Mahaney great again. He was one of the top mid-major guards, quite frankly, one of the top guards in the country last year. 2-time first-team all-West Coast Conference selection. I mean, this is a kid who had to choose between UConn and Kentucky. Like, these are two powerhouse blue-blooded schools. I think mental than physical. Maybe Dan Hurley's style of play, maybe his confidence is down. But, I mean, going into the season, we thought he was going to be the guy, and he hasn't turned out it hasn't panned out to be what we assumed or what probably Coach Hurley assumed. So we need him to figure it out, get some good food, see your family, mental refresh, and come into the next season or the next year, because it's going to get tougher, and they are going to need him down the stretches. I think Hassan Diarra, you can't depend on him 30, 35 minutes a night.
No, now Diarra has been good the last couple of weeks for UConn. Over the last 5 games, he's totaled at least 7 assists. Over the last 4 games, Hassan Diarra has 36 assists. Is that sustainable throughout the rest of the season? I'm in agreement with you, John, on Mahaney, because you're right. Like, people say, well, the Big East is a different level from the WCC. Sure, but he still beat Gonzaga for a WCC tournament. He still was an all-WCC first-team selection. Like, he's seen the big games. He's played well in the big games. What's my resolution for UConn? Got to keep evolving defensively. They're 98th in KenPom defensive efficiency. They struggle to guard the 2s, the 3s, the 4s who can put the ball on the floor, create dribble penetration, and make shots. The Huskies are not built the same way as they have been the last 2 years. It's not Adamo Snogo, Donovan Clingan, then last year Donovan Clingan, Samson Johnson. They don't have this elite rim protection. What does that mean? You have to be able to guard the ball better on the perimeter, because when they get inside, they're scoring. So for Connecticut, Jeff, I think my biggest thing with them is, one, are they going to be able to go on the road to the elite Big East teams and still be able to beat those teams to the same degree that they were? Your defense has to travel, and we have to see if that's going to happen. Are they a great offensive team? Hell yeah. Their offense can carry them in a lot of these games because they're just a better shot-making team than a lot of other teams. But I think my big picture concern, Jeff, with UConn is, conference tournament, NCAA tournament, just analyzing how they're playing. This is not a great defensive team yet. Doesn't mean that they can't be, but right now they struggle against guys who can score. And that's why I'm fascinated to see how they defend Cam Jones, how they go up against all those St. John's guards who can score. And in 2025, that's one of the matchups I'm looking forward to the most, is when UConn plays St. John's.
That'll be fun, because those coaches aren't exactly going to go out for dinner the night before.